Factories are closing, workers are getting laid off, sales are declining, profits are down, and diesel RVs are about to get banned in multiple states.
America's RV market has collapsed, and millions of like-new R-vees are now selling for pennies, and it's unfolding right now. Dealer lots are jammed, auctions are overflowing, and rigs that once sold for six figures are dropping fast. This isn't a slowdown, it's a market break. Some owners are upside down overnight. Dealers are quietly cutting deals, and the balance of power just flipped. The wild part? The next 90 days could save or cost you thousands depending on your timing. If you've ever even thought about buying, selling, or upgrading an RV, what happens next could hit your wallet harder than you expect. Record shipments and the market implosion. May 2025 hit like a storm. Shipments of recreational vehicles soared to record highs, up 11.8% year over year. But this wasn't a sign of strength. It was the first warning of a collapse in motion. Dealer lots across Indiana, Texas, and Florida overflowed with nearly 3 million like-new units, polished to perfection, but silently crushing the finances of every showroom. Internal dealer bulletins confirmed what no advertisement would. Floor plan debt had tripled in some chains, interest ticking higher every day. On paper, the market looked unstoppable. In reality, the numbers were a ticking time bomb. Inventory sat unmoved for weeks, and lenders began whispering about exposure limits. Auction logs already showed hammer prices failing to meet reserve values. A Thor Tuscany 36 MQ listed at $129,995, hammered for just $103,000. The difference wasn't a discount, it was desperation. Across lots, managers calculated every day's delay in payments, knowing unsold rigs weren't just sitting, they were bleeding money. Supplies from manufacturers began to stagger as canceled orders piled up. One glance at the overflowing lots told the real story. This was no minor slowdown, it was a flood, and no part of the country was insulated. Transitioning to the next chapter, the real human impact begins as the pandemic-driven surge collapses under its own weight, exposing buyers, dealers, and lenders to unprecedented risk. The pandemic boom that turned toxic. The collapse didn't happen overnight. It built over 2 years of pandemic fever. 2020 and 2021 saw families, retirees, and fleet operators rushing into the RV market with stimulus checks and cheap credit. Lockdowns turned highways into the promise of freedom, and dealers assumed demand would never falter. Factories ran double shifts, showrooms expanded, and back orders stretched for months. Shipment data from RV Business confirms that May 2025 alone saw nearly 3 million units scheduled for delivery, many still without buyers. Beneath the glossy finish, pressure mounted. Floor plan loans grew daily, compounding interest silently. One delayed shipment or missed payment triggered markdowns across multiple states. Dealer invoices and auction records show units once priced at $125,000 falling to $87,000 in weeks. Fleetwood Bounders, Winnebago Vistas, and Thor Tuscany models all tumbled simultaneously. The surge became a financial pressure cooker. Families who expected freedom on wheels now faced devalued assets, hidden costs, and loans exceeding resale value. Transitioning, insurance, storage, and maintenance would anchor units to a declining market, putting thousands of dollars at risk. If this market shocks you, make sure you stay ahead. Like and subscribe to catch every update on prices, auctions, and hidden risks. Comment with what you're seeing locally. Tracking these changes now could protect your wallet later. Hidden costs start to bite. Even as lots overflowed, the first victims of hidden costs began to appear. Insurance, storage, maintenance, and fuel, rarely highlighted in dealer brochures, quickly accumulated against each purchase. A Class A diesel coach averaged $3,500 annually in insurance, with storage fees adding $1,500. Routine maintenance and repairs pushed ownership costs far beyond sticker prices. Dealer bulletins confirmed rising service inquiries, while insurance quotes rose as model years aged and claims history updated. Fuel, once overlooked, climbed, further reducing affordability. Many buyers had low monthly payments on extended financing, assuming travel experiences would offset costs. As demand softened, these expenses became anchors, dragging resale values down and straining household budgets. Auction data reflected week-over-week declines, correlating with models carrying the highest maintenance burdens. Unpaid repairs, neglected service, and storage lapses chipped away at potential resale revenue, leaving even like-new units selling below expectations. The financial reality sharply diverged from the promise of freedom on wheels. Transitioning, these hidden cracks would soon appear across dealer lots nationwide, creating a domino effect that would define the next stage of market collapse. The first cracks appear in dealer lots. By midsummer 2025, dealer lots showed clear signs of collapse. Urban dealerships, once fueled by high turnover and strong city demand, now held inventory that moved slowly. Floor plan interest accumulated daily, unseen by casual observers, but eroding margins behind the scenes. Auction schedules confirmed week-by-week declines in hammer prices, proving even like-new units sold below expectations. Service bays, once busy with maintenance and prep, stood empty during peak hours, while customer bays remained unoccupied, and units filled parking spaces with no prospects of sale, a stark sign of supply-demand imbalance. Dealers relying on the pandemic boom to carry them through 365 days faced mounting pressure from financiers and suppliers. Inventory management receipts showed growing backlogs, illustrating how quickly liquidity could vanish. Each week, accrued interest and overstock costs compounded, limiting discounts. This domino effect, starting in dense urban centers, spread outward to suburban and rural markets, proving the collapse was systemic. Transitioning, auctions, repossessions, and regional differences would define the next wave of opportunity and risk in the market, the 3 million rig surge. By mid-2025, the R-vee market hit a tipping point. Nearly 3 million like-new units flooded auction schedules and secondary dealer lots nationwide, a surge unlike any in recent history. Auction logs from hubs in Indiana, Texas, and Florida showed hundreds of units arriving daily, often before previous inventory had cleared. Dealer bulletins confirmed overstock had doubled in some metro areas within weeks. Prices that had held through the pandemic began to wobble, while floor plan interest mounted quietly in the background, unseen by most. Each additional unit increased pressure, forcing managers to consider steep discounts to keep lenders satisfied. A market that once rewarded patience now punished it. The surge revealed hidden fragility in the financial mechanics supporting R-vee sales. Buyers expecting constrained supply faced competition everywhere. With 3 million rigs moving simultaneously, real value began to emerge, and inflated dealer prices no longer held. Transitioning, the auction yards would become the arena where hammer prices exposed the market's true picture, providing proof of declining values and setting the stage for repossessions and further depreciation. Auction yards reveal the truth. Across auction sites, the shift became visible in real time. Hammer prices for high-demand units fell by 20 to 30% in a single week, according to Copart screenshots and local auction receipts. One 5-year-old Fleetwood Bounder 35K listed at $125,000 on dealer sheets, hammered for $90,000 in early June. Another Thor Tuscany 36MQ, previously advertised at $129,995, sold for $103,000. The discrepancy was undeniable and spread like wildfire through the dealer network. Each drop in price triggered reactions elsewhere, creating a chain reaction that left floor plan lenders watching their exposure carefully. Unsold units compounded debt, and interest calculations for overstocked lots began to spiral. Dealers who had relied on constant turnover now faced mounting pressure to move units quickly, and the room for negotiation evaporated as the market set its own rules. The auction yards were no longer neutral. They became a real-time indicator of financial strain, exposing both the winners and the losers. With hammer prices dropping, the first wave of repossessions was imminent. Transitioning to the next chapter, the repos would begin arriving quietly, further increasing supply and risk. Repo surge and zombie R-vees, repossessed units, began hitting the market immediately after auction drops became clear. Banks and lenders, exposed to unpaid loans and rising interest rates, reclaimed Class A and Class C coaches in large numbers. Flood-damaged or cosmetically repaired units, sometimes called zombie R-vees, quietly re-entered secondary markets. VIN checks and National Motor Vehicle Title Information System reports revealed many carried histories of water damage or prior repossession, though dealer sheets often omitted this information. Even seemingly clean units required inspection, as repairs for electrical systems, slide-outs, and diesel engines could exceed $5,000, erasing any apparent bargain. Some dealers, pressed to offload stock, ignored these risks, assuming buyers would overlook them. The market's top tier suffered most visibly. Luxury Class A coaches that once sold for $200,000 or more now went for $140,000 or less, sometimes with hidden repair costs. Each repossession increased pressure on auction lanes and dealer lots, accelerating depreciation. This surge of reclaimed units created a secondary supply wave, exposing which tiers collapsed fastest and which maintained relative stability, setting the stage for the next market phase: depreciation, pyramid collapses. The impact of the combined surge and repossessions was not uniform across vehicle types. Class A coaches suffered the sharpest decline, down 30% from their peak valuations in early 2025. Class C models declined at a slower pace, but still dropped 20% in many metro markets. Towable trailers, pop-ups, and smaller camper units held value better, sliding only 10 to 15% over the same period. J.D. Power wholesale data comparisons confirmed this pattern, showing that higher-cost units carried greater exposure to floor plan interest and slower turnover. Sticker prices on dealer websites no longer reflected actual sale prices. In some cases, new 2023 units advertised at $125,000 sold for $98,000, after factoring in auction adjustments and transport costs. Understanding which tiers depreciated fastest became critical for anyone tracking the market. Dealers scrambling to offload Class A stock pushed those values down further, inadvertently creating opportunities in lower tiers if inspections were conducted carefully. Meanwhile, the combined effect of new shipments, repossessions, and mounting costs highlighted a systemic vulnerability that extended beyond individual dealerships. Every drop in hammer price, every backlog of unsold inventory, and every slow-moving lot became a lesson in market mechanics. Transitioning from this chapter, the next phase would focus on how regions and dealers were responding differently, shaping both opportunity and risk across the country. Small dealers on the edge across the Midwest. Dealerships that had thrived during the pandemic boom now faced the harshest reality. Smaller dealers, often family-owned, saw lines of staff shrinking as layoffs became unavoidable. Floor plan interest, once manageable, compounded rapidly, silently eroding profits. Internal bulletins from local dealerships confirmed that units remaining unsold beyond 30 days triggered immediate financing penalties. State employment notices highlighted a spike in retail and service layoffs, particularly in Indiana and Ohio, directly tied to R-vee manufacturing and sales slowdowns. Showrooms that had once been busy hubs of activity now stood quiet during peak hours, a visual warning of a market under stress. Supplies of parts from local vendors began to waver as orders were reduced or canceled, forcing some service bays to idle. The combination of mounting debt, employee reductions, and shrinking sales created pressure that could not be sustained indefinitely. Floor plan lenders, watching exposure closely, began to tighten credit. When the pullback came, many dealerships were forced to shutter temporarily, leaving unsold units accumulating and cash flow evaporating. The lessons were immediate and financial. Overextension during a boom left businesses vulnerable, and rapid reversals of fortune could wipe out months of anticipated revenue. Transitioning to the next chapter, the human cost of the collapse became clear as owners began to face the hidden expenses that threatened their equity. Chapter 10, owners trapped by hidden costs. As dealership pressure mounted, owners who bought during the peak faced the hidden costs of ownership. Insurance for a Class A diesel coach averaged $3,500 annually, with storage fees adding another $1,500. Routine maintenance, repairs to slide-outs, engine diagnostics, and electrical systems increased costs further. Fuel, historically low during the pandemic, surged, adding hundreds of dollars per month. Sample owner statements documented cumulative expenses exceeding $5,000 in the first 6 months. even before depreciation. Auction logs confirmed resale prices were falling faster than expected, leaving many units purchased for $125,000 or more in negative equity. Dealers focused on clearing inventory often provided little guidance. Independent repair invoices showed minor issues quickly escalated into $3,000 to $5,000 repairs. Even like-new units carried hidden vulnerabilities. From water-damaged slide-outs to neglected diesel engines, declining market value combined with rising costs created a financial squeeze that threatened personal budgets. Transitioning, regional differences, and dealer location would become critical in shaping opportunity and risk across the country. Geography shapes opportunity. The collapse was not uniform. Urban markets, especially in metropolitan areas, experienced the earliest and steepest drops, while rural towns held firmer initially. Dealer lots in cities like Indianapolis, Dallas, and Houston were overflowing, forcing rapid markdowns and increased repossession activity. In contrast, small towns and factory-adjacent regions initially absorbed stock more slowly, but tightening credit eventually reached these areas as well. Maps of inventory overhang and auction frequency highlighted that proximity to major auction hubs accelerated declines. Units closer to regional hubs faced more frequent hammer sales, while those in remote areas retained value slightly longer. Factory towns, once vibrant centers of assembly, showed early signs of production slowdown, affecting local supply chains and service vendors. Proof came from auction schedules and dealer communications, illustrating that timing and location dictated potential savings or losses. Buyers tracking the market could identify areas of overstock and relative scarcity, but errors in judgment could result in paying far more than market value. The interplay between urban congestion, regional demand, and transport costs became a key determinant of risk. Dealers in high-volume metro markets were forced to lower prices aggressively, whereas units in secondary regions retained some stability until inventory eventually caught up. Transitioning to the next chapter, these geographic pressures would combine with factory shutdowns, creating the next wave of market stress. To stay informed as this market continues shifting, subscribe now. Future updates will reveal which units hold value, timing strategies, and hidden pitfalls, ensuring you're ready when the next wave of inventory moves, keeping your money safe and decisions precise. Factories go silent. By mid-year 2025, production in northern Indiana, the historic center of American R-vee manufacturing, had slowed dramatically. Assembly lines that once hummed with drills, welders, and routine testing now operated at minimal capacity. Production logs confirmed several major manufacturers reduced shifts or temporarily closed bays, and supplier memos documented abrupt order cancellations for cabinetry, axles, and specialized components. The ripple effect extended beyond factories. Local vendors, repair shops, and service providers faced sudden revenue drops. Communities that relied on steady production for decades saw cafes, gas stations, and supply stores struggle. The scarcity of new units, combined with the flood of repossessed stock, created a complex market dynamic. Opportunities existed in these factory towns, but only for those verifying unit history, condition, and title. Skipping inspections or ignoring hidden damage risked costly losses. Auction activity reflected the tension. Fewer new units arrived, yet repossessed, and surplus inventory from surrounding regions kept prices pressured. Production slowdowns signaled structural risk and delayed recovery compared with metro areas. Transitioning from the silent factories, supply waves, and repossessions would determine which units carried the greatest risk and potential opportunity. Hidden cost checklist. Before committing to any purchase, it is essential to account for hidden costs that can quickly turn a seemingly good deal into a financial burden. Begin by inspecting for flood damage, moisture intrusion, and mold, which often lurk under slide-outs, inside cabinets, or beneath flooring. Mechanical defects, from diesel engines to hydraulic leveling systems, must be verified for condition and functionality. VIN checks and moisture reports provide the first layer of proof, confirming whether a unit has been submerged or previously repossessed. Many of these issues are invisible at a casual glance, but will show up in a detailed inspection. Creating a spreadsheet that accounts for anticipated repairs, routine maintenance, and an added buffer of approximately 10% for unknown issues allows a clear understanding of total cost before negotiation. Insurance premiums, storage fees, and potential fuel expenses should also be added to the calculation to estimate true ownership costs over a one-year period. Skipping these steps risks investing in units whose real value is substantially lower than advertised, often by tens of thousands of dollars. Documenting every finding with photographs, receipts, and inspection notes ensures leverage in in negotiation or recourse if issues arise. Transitioning to the next chapter, even with proper inspection, the financial equation must be calculated precisely to avoid overpaying. Math over emotion. Purchases in a collapsing RV market cannot rely on intuition or emotion. The calculation is straightforward. Wholesale price minus expected repairs minus the target profit equals the maximum bid. Auction comparables provide proof. A Thor Tuscany 36 MQ previously listed at $129,995 hammered at $103,000, while a Winnebago Vista 29 VE fell from $85,000 to $67,000 in the same period. Ignoring these figures and focusing on sticker price risks overpaying. Repair cost estimates require checking prior maintenance, service bulletins, and the condition of tires, brakes, appliances, and leveling systems. Adding a buffer of at least 10% protects against unforeseen defects, especially for repossessed or flood-impacted units. Dealers may emphasize cosmetic upgrades or options, but these rarely offset real depreciation. Staying disciplined and following the numbers keeps offers realistic and prevents costly errors. Misreading math can overpay tens of thousands as units depreciate rapidly. Transitioning, timing, and location become key to maximizing value while reducing risk. Timing and geography strategy. Understanding when and where to engage with the market is as crucial as knowing the hidden costs. Historical trends indicate two key windows for purchasing discounted units. The first occurs in late winter, before dealers move aging inventory to auctions, and before floor plan interest compounds excessively. The second arrives in early autumn, when new models begin arriving and current stock becomes obsolete, prompting markdowns. Dealer bulletin excerpts and auction timing data confirm that inventory clears fastest during these periods. Geography also shapes opportunity. Metro liquidation zones, particularly in Indiana, Texas, and Florida, experience rapid depreciation, while units in rural or secondary markets retain value slightly longer due to reduced supply. Buyers tracking arrival schedules, transport patterns, and local auction calendars gain actionable insights that allow strategic entry. Monitoring trends in pricing, lot turnover, and dealer communications enables informed decisions and helps avoid units that carry excessive unseen costs. Acting outside these windows often results in overpaying or encountering higher competition from other buyers and lenders. The combination of precise timing and geographic awareness provides a clear edge, turning data into protection against financial loss. Transitioning to the final chapter, these strategies converge with historical patterns to safeguard the wallet against ongoing market fluctuations. Future-proof your wallet. Even in a collapsing market, opportunities exist for those who rely on verified data rather than hype. Historical depreciation curves, auction results, and dealer reports reveal which models, trims, and years hold relative stability. Units that are thoroughly inspected and paired with detailed repair and storage calculations can still offer significant savings compared to sticker prices. Timing is critical. Entering too early exposes you to inflated values, while waiting too long can eliminate discounts. Verification of condition, title, and VIN history remains essential to avoid hidden risks like flood damage, prior repossessions, or unreported maintenance. Using rigorous math over appearances ensures every purchase reflects real value. Tracking supply patterns, auction frequency, and dealer communications across regions allows strategic positioning. Patience, calculations, and verification protect against unnecessary losses and maximize chances of fair value acquisitions. The next wave of inventory adjustments is forming now. Understanding timing, geography, and costs can save thousands, ensuring each dollar invested works as intended and avoids surprises from overlooked defects or inflated listings. So here's the bottom line. The market has shifted, the opportunity is real, and the risk is real too. The only wrong move right now is not paying attention. If this helped you, hit like. It tells me to make more of this content. Drop a comment and tell me what prices look like in your area. And if you want to stay ahead of these market shocks, subscribe and turn notifications on.